started yet?
Oh, it don't matter.
I'm running, I've started now.
Okay, Jack, we're making a DVD about Bill Norton, and we're interviewing people who had similar experiences to him. So I want to know whether you're happy to be interviewed about this.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so can you start off just by saying who you are and where you're from?
I'm Jack Law from Bolton.
That's good enough. Okay, I know that when you were very young, your family moved into Johnson Fold just as it was new. And I'd like to know from you what it was like living there, what it felt like when you moved in, and what the community was like.
Well, my father died when I was about 5 or 2. We were farmers up Harwood. My father was a farmer up Harwood. And my mother was a daughter of a butcher on Charlie Old Road. My father died, as I say, when we were very, very young, and my mother was left with 4 of us. I cannot remember what happened around that area, but I know she went to housekeep for my uncle who lived as a bachelor in Stretford. But being Boltonians and from Charlie Old Road area, when my, Johnson Fold was being built, somehow or other my mother got tenancy of number 65, Mallet Crescent. And we moved in there, all the 4 of her, 5 sisters, 4, 5 of us, and it was a 2-bedroomed house. We lived there for quite some time. We must have moved in there around about 1934 when Johnson Fold was built. We were the first tenants in there. Recently I've had cause to wander back and look where my roots were, as you might say. And they changed it, they've got a bathroom in and this, that and the other now, with inside toilets, you know, and it's all very, very nice. But unfortunately, and I'm not going to dwell on it too much, you might say our family was orphaned, and I'm not going to dwell on it, but I left home when I was 6-year-old to go to what is Chetham's music school now. It was an orphanage at my time when I went, and I went there from the age of 6 to the age of 14 and coming home at regular times, but I diverse. Johnson Fold was a lovely community. As you know, or may well know, that Johnson Fold is semicircular. Mallet Crescent being the top, not laying in between, and Mild Crescent down at the bottom. And in that play area, which was surrounded by concrete stumps and chain link fencing, we used to have loads of community events on there, and virtually in our little everybody knew everybody. There was no cars there. There were some rough uns and there were some good uns. But you found your level, and nearly the majority of us used to go to Delfield Methodist, which was a Sunday school, although we were brought up at St Peter's Hallowell, where my mother was married. It was just a good community. And as kids, we had some great fun. I mean, next to our house at number 65 was a ginnel, which went through onto Mossbank Way, and the shops on Mossbank Way. And of course, we used to play all sorts of games then, but nothing fierce. What we used to do, we used to tie tin cans across the gully, across the ginnel, with some string on them. When they were coming home from Tempest at Collier's Arms, coming through Ginnell, you get a big laugh because these tin cans wrapped round the feet, didn't they? And there was some rather blue language flying around. Later on, because of the composition of our family, which was 3 sisters, my mother and myself, we managed to get a 3-bedroomed house at number 2 Mallet Crescent, which is on the corner of Knott Lane and Mallet Crescent. And we lived there until I got married.
Okay, thanks. That's really very clear, very helpful. And I'd talk about fun and games at the Palais now? Because I know you enjoyed dancing, you enjoyed going to the Palais. So could you tell me about when you first went to the Palais, or you first went dancing, and whether you started at the Palais or other dance halls, and what it was like going to the Palais?
Mm-hmm. Well, in those days, entertainment was very simple, and churches and places such as that used to have dances on Saturday night with a little three-part band. And we used to go to Delphil, and there are other places, the parish church and places like that, which was dancing. Not posh dancing, but shall we say quick step, waltz and foxtrot was about the maximum. There were others like the tango and stuff like that. And we used to go to these church halls. All my pals, we used to go, pile of lads, you know, we used to go. You'll not remember elimination dances, where, you know, you're dancing round and they say, fellas roll the trouser leg up, or something like that, ladies produce a handkerchief, and you were off. I well remember the time at Delphil, going dances at Delphil, when we played football in the afternoon, and roll your trouser leg up, and you were frightened to roll it up because it was still full of mud. You know, you had no time to go for a bath. And then we decided, my younger sister and I, we would go to the Palais. And the first words of my mother was, and don't make a habit of going there. But at the Palais in those days, you went in through the main door, which was on the corner. Gents went downstairs to the toilets and the cloakroom, and ladies went downstairs that way to their cloakroom. And then you'd come up, go buy your ticket and go through the door, and at the far end there was where ladies left their handbags. Not like today, they stand in a circle, don't they, round them, and nod their head. But having said that, we then started going to the Palais, and as I got a bit older, and our crowd used to crowd the lads, we used to go on a Monday, which was ballroom dancing, or should I say good dancing. It was 1 and 6 to go in, and I'm not working that out in present money. And you could also, the Palais then was split in two, with the dance floor at the bottom and a balcony all the way around. You paid 1 and 6 to go in to dance, or you paid 6pence to go onto the balcony. And where we would, the majority of us would pay 6pence, and you'd drink coffee up there. It wasn't licensed. When people wanted to go out, they used to go to the Founders and the pubs round there. And we'd drink coffee and just chat. And when you wanted a dance, we'd one who paid 1 and 6. So he got full admittance. And when you came out through that door, you know, they used to stamp your hand and give you a pass out so you could go back in again. And of course, what we used to do, there'd be about six or seven of us. We'd look down and fix up next dance, you see, and then get the pass out and go down and have a dance and then come back up on the balcony. So we're all virtually getting in for a tanner. And then we started going on a Wednesday, which was public dancing. And a lot of people were on a Wednesday, very popular. And the balcony was open. You could wander more or less anywhere. Now, if I go downstairs to Monday night, when I first went there, as you went into the Palais, on your right-hand side was a large area where everybody stood, and it got referred to as the cattle market down there. Go right to the other side, and that's where the settees were and tables, and courting couples would sit there. And that's where our Vera and myself sat there, away from the, you might say, the maddening crowds. But that was on a Monday night. Wednesday night it was all open. And bearing in mind, we would also go, there used to be what they call long evenings on at the Palais, which was invariably, if I recall, I think some were on a Tuesday and some Friday. And these long evenings were, shall we say, works dances, like a mill dance or old Boltonian school dance. Mind you, at the old Bolts you had to have a dinner jacket on or else you didn't get in. And you had to have a ticket. They were good dues then. They were really good dues. Women in long dresses, you know. And a lot of these mill dances were like that. The lasses had dressed themselves up for the, you know, look at them, instead of having a headscarf on like they'd have it mill, you know, they'd been to hairdressers and had it all totted up. And I well remember my sister, when it was Musgrave's dance, she had a long dress as well. And she travelled down on the tram, but with a load of elastic round her waist so she could pull her dress up, you see. So she didn't trip over that. You pulled the elastic band off when you got into Pally. But those long dances, long evenings, would finish at 1:45. I mean, they're not going out till 1:45 these days, but they would finish at 1:45, and you would walk home. There wasn't you know, all these taxis about then, and we'd walk up Chorley Hall Road, and that was an unusual feature. Recently, they talked about trying to save electricity. Well, at that time, Alfred street lights went out at midnight. You could tell when it was midnight, all lights went out. And this were on Main Road, Chorley Hall Road. Other occasions, last bus during the week went at 11:15. So I think Pally may well stopped at 10:30 dancing. And then we used to walk back through town, or if you're taking the last round somewhere street round town centre, you know, you'd go, and we'd walk along Footbridge, which is now they tried to reinstate at Bolton State, from Greatmore Street to Trinity Street, and that used to be the bus station, all down Trinity Street, and all trams and later buses were lining up there, and you could be walking across that footbridge and you'd hear Inspector bloke whistle, and you knew that was last bus is going. As he blew that whistle, all buses moved down Trinity Street, round at Queen's Corner, and along Bradshaw Gate, and then along Deansgate. So we used to turn round and hop like heck and catch the bus at Whittaker's, you see, so we didn't have to walk home. Times at the Pally. This was before Jimmy Knoll was the band leader there. Used to have about 4 saxes, 3 trumpets, 2 trombones, piano and double bass, and that was a good band. This is the day when it was the Pally. What was his name? He was a miserable devil who used to own it. You could see him walking around with a face like a bass fiddle. You know, he was walking around like this.
Was his name Bolton?
In Bolton, Pally?
No, was his name Bolton?
No. Did you ever know Tognerelli?
Tell me about Tognerelli's.
Oh, Togs.
Tell me about Togs.
It was in paper the other day, that.
Start from the beginning, tell me about Togs, what Togs was and
What Togs was? Well, it was a place where we always used to meet on a Sunday. It was on Market Street.
You say Tognerelli's was a place, just for this, Tognerelli's was a place we used to meet on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you to say that so that...
Yeah, well, Tognerelli's, I don't know why I introduced it, Togs, because I'm still on Pally.
You're impossible.
Well, I'm sorry.
Tell us about Tognerelli's.
Well, Tognerelli's, there used to be 2 ice cream parlours in Bolton, Tognerelli's and Morelli's. Morelli's were down by the Queen's. But old Tognerelli, he'd a bass for like a bass fiddle, and he used to walk around with his Anthony Eden on. It was an ice cream parlour on the first floor on Market Street. And you go up there and nearly all your mates, half of them from Pally, would meet there. And you'd look out looking for a date for Sunday night, something to do on a Sunday night. And you used to come out of Togs, walk up Market Street, round Town Hall Square, up to Greatmore Street, down Greatmore Street, along Bradshaw Gate, along Deansgate, and back to Togs. And if you got out, you turned round and you walked round to the road, so you'd see them coming that way around. And many a time, you got yourself fixed up with a date for Sunday night. All right, and we always used to meet, and I've taught Bolton Evening News this, the clock's still there at Greenoff's Clock, which is on Newport Street. And he used to say, that was a bus stop, and he used to say, I'll see you on the clock. And everybody knew what clock was. Well, that was about it at Togs. It was just a general chatting. You didn't buy out, you know. I think old Tog got a bit miserable.
So tell us about the Palais, meeting girls and clicking at the Palais.
Mm-hmm. Well, I met my wife there, and I think loads and loads of people met their wives or partners there, not partners, but husbands there at the Palais. And then every Boxing Day, there's always big do's at Christmas Eve and stuff like that at the Palais. Boxing Day, you would go down and it was called the coffee dance. And you'd see all your pals who got married, who didn't come regularly to public dancing, and I were one of them. And you didn't go down to public dancing because you had other things to do. And you'd meet up at Boxing Day at coffee dance. And you'd all meet, hello, you know, I'll have a chat and start reminiscing. And that's where I've still friends, mind you, a lot of them are dead now, who were from Palais, and we'd meet up on Boxing Day. Bring your kids along.
So I'm going back to meeting girls. Did you offer to take girls home that you met at the Palais?
Yeah, you can't do that these days. They've all got a car.
Right, okay, Jack. What else have you got to say about the Palais, about the sort of people that went there, and how did you asked girls to dance and you asked to take them home? Is that what happened?
Invariably.
Could you talk us through that?
Well, invariably, you know, it's just like any social gathering. But they don't seem to have them these days, you know, they seem to, what shall we say?
Tell us about then, not now.
Oh, about then.
About
Well, you just go into Palais and you know that's where you met. And I used to, I think the Palais finished at 10:30. Now, I was going to night school, Bolton Tech, maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 nights a week there. And you'd come out and I was doing practical work as well as academic work. And I was taking a course in plumbing. So if you were doing workshop that night, you know, you'd take your overalls in a little case or something like that. Sorry. So, and then you come out at Bolton Tech, rush to Trinity Street, catch number 30 tram, or 30 bus, which was Dunsker bus. Well, it was 29 as well, it went up Andrew Lane. And you jump on that, and it was the days of conductors. So back corner were open, just like the London Transport, isn't it? And you used to get on that, and as it's going up Bridge Street, past the Palais, you drop off. And, you know, with the speed there, you keep running with buzz, and then you go straight into Palais after night school. But you're only there, you know, chucking out time. And you'd meet your mates on a Monday, and you'd meet your mates on a Wednesday. Very rarely, well, sometimes you'd see them there on a Saturday, but it was 3 shilling on a Saturday. And we may well go out of town somewhere. But I'm not going into that because you're interested in the Palais. And we're just going, and, you know, just a social gathering. Like people will now, will go into the pub, won't they? But the Palais was the meeting place. And you knew you could dance, and you knew you didn't tap on the shoulder to ask for a dance for. You know, you knew who were dancers, and could keep in tune, and would hold a conversation. And that's basically, it was a social gathering.
Okay, Jack, that's great. That was really good.
Will it do?
Yeah.